I've got my homeless hat on again. I haven't got my badge on the front. That's terrible. That's better. These are the times Joe Strummer trained us for, says Henry Rollins. I believed him. To confirm, to do again. One of the things that I learned in my confirmation class, and me and my brother, we did our confirmation classes in the village of Pentuch, in just up the road from where I live now. And one of the things that the vicar said that actually stuck in our mind, both our minds, because we say it all the time, is to confirm, to do again. And it's a really excellent definition. The fewer words you can get into a definition, the better. But it does need a little more underneath that, I think, to understand. We understand exactly what to do again means in terms of confirmation as a word, and in terms of confirmation of faith. So what the vicar meant was that I'd been baptised, christened as a child, and had attended Sunday school all the way through, and going to church with the big old pennies. Well, I remember going with a big old penny to Sunday school, and then what I used to do was in church was I used to bang the old penny. The collection plate would come round, and I'd bang the penny on the plate, and then keep it in my hand, and then go and buy sweets with it. Yeah, and the Lord sees this stuff. Yeah, I think the roof of the church survived without my penny, but they were good days. But a bad boy, a naughty thing to do. So to confirm was the idea of the confirmation class was I'd been christened with no choice. Then I'd done the training, and I'd been educated into the religion to understand the Bible and the Bible stories. And then the confirmation was so I could say, yes, I'm happy to accept everything that I've been taught, and that I'm going to make my way forward now in the Christian faith, which I rejected because I didn't feel that the provenance was good enough at the time. Yeah? So confirmation means, in terms of faith, I state my case about my faith. And so this video is my confirmation now. Finally, I believe I can take the sacrament, that I can confirm that God lives in my heart, and that the Christian God is the God that I can access. Because of my culture, I access my God through my Christian upbringing and general culture of my country in which I existed. So confirmation means stating the case. So you can do that too. Even if you've not been christened, it's possible to confirm something to yourself using your own cultural upbringing, whatever it may be, around the world. The idea of your education, your religious education, was to bring you towards the position where you could start to examine your own experience against what you've been taught, to see if it matches up with the world as it is or as you want it to be. And then with your rational thinking adult brain, you can confirm that that's what you want. When you've done that, you've then established a personal relationship with your God based on your culture, but you can now bring all the experience of your life to bear on that. And you are allowed to reject things from your teachings that you think are harmful. And in Islam, I've used this a couple of times, but I'm not picking on them, but I think it's really important that apostasy and jihad are just really so damaging to the mighty religion of Islam, that we share the faith of Abraham, that you could reject them in your heart and then build your own personal relationship with your God based on your then understanding, bringing love and forgiveness in instead of apostasy and jihad, for example. And then you've got it, you've done it. And then the work, then it becomes so much easier. Don't resist. My problem was that doing the work requires you to examine everything, to bring yourself to God. And it's taken me so long to get here. And the pain and the struggles, the trials that God gave me, that he knew I could handle if I really put my heart and muscle into it, would bring me to him. And by God, it worked. So you can shortcut all of that stuff by knowing that the two-stage process is simply this. You're on the fence. Lean towards the side where you think God might exist. It seems more likely that God might exist than God doesn't exist. Just accept that based on evidence. There's no evidence that God doesn't exist. There's plenty of evidence that God does in terms of religious texts for thousands of years and the way that we've lived and brought ourselves up. That's all evidence that God might exist. So just step that way and then examine the evidence. For your own satisfaction, get to the point where you go, yep, I can confirm in my heart that God lives there. And so it may be doing again, or it may be just doing for the first time. But you're still confirming the faith. You had faith that God might exist. That's just trust. Trusting me, in this case. Okay, it might. God might exist. And then you'll find your way there really fast. Brilliant. Surrendering to God is the key to a happy life and the key to surviving the reset and the rapture that's coming. Because if you want rapture, you have to work for it. Imagine taking an ecstasy tablet, as I gave them up in the 90s, because the come down was so awful, just so awful. I remember I had a day after an ecstasy, night out on ecstasy, which was a brilliant night, which I can't remember. Couldn't remember anything about it, but I knew I'd had a good time. That the day afterwards was so awful. It's the other way round. The rapture, you have to go through the come down of an ecstasy rush backwards, and then you get the ecstasy rush. And it's entirely self-propelled. Inside, it comes from inside. There's no drugs required. You can get exactly the same effect as an ecstasy rush. Truly, I've experienced them through that process. So take the come down and the ecstasy, go backwards, arrive at God exists, and you've confirmed your faith. And you may survive the lockdown and enter a new planet of self-policed excellence with the light of love shining in your heart as an immortal soul, wearing a protein character costume and having the time of your life. It's a prize worth winning. So you can go back to my old ones again, do the work. Okay? But that's the old me. This is a new story.